بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وبعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Big, I tried fixing the sound on that one, but nevertheless we are here now. I hope that you read through those words, and I think since a very young age we've been hearing the song on our radio stations and on various other platforms, and this is the song that once united the Arab worlds, and it's called the Arab Dream. Words such as al-hilm ma hu mustahil, that a dream is never impossible. Madam tahqiq mubah, for as long as there is a tomorrow, they will cling onto that hope. Madam tahqiq mubah, for as long as there is a tomorrow, there's a hope that there will be liberation. There's a hope that there will be that freedom in our beloved Palestine. Then if we go further down and we listen to the verses, and we hear the last one of the last verses that we saw now when we read ناطق بلسان الضاد من أي مكان في الأرض, wherever you find yourself in this world. And this particularly applies to us as South Africans, or wherever you might find yourself currently watching the stream from. Wherever you find yourself in the world, we should stand up and raise our voices of concern. We should raise our voices for the oppression that is taking place, for anything that is being harmful and done harm unto the people that are being oppressed. ناطق بلسان الضاد, that we should speak up to this oppression, rise up to the oppression. As we say, rise up to the occasion, but this program was chosen to be rise up to the oppression, because that is what we're currently facing, not just in Palestine, but various parts of the world. So our program here this evening is primarily focused currently on what the whole world is looking at this moment, and that is the Free Sheikh Jarrah, as well as the Free Gaza and Free Palestine campaigns. But also there are other places in the world that's suffering the same type of tyranny. They on our own doorstep here in South Africa. So the lessons and the reason why we are doing such or bringing to you such information and programs is so that we can become more active within our communities, that this activism that we use for the fight of the Palestinians and for the fight, the flight of those in Yemen and everywhere else, that we use that same strength and that same energy anywhere else where we find people being oppressed. And I think that's a clear message from each and everyone out here today. ناطق بلسان الضاد, so that we speak up to the oppressed. And what my dream, inshallah, is to to capture this this song from a non-Arab perspective. And I would love all our artists, wherever they find themselves, to start learning these words of the song, and to really embody it and start singing it unto the Arabs. Remember that this was once the Arab dream. Let's stand up once again and incorporate it into our lives and bring it back to where we once were. They were once a united nation. They were once a united body. And this brings us back to the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said that this ummah is one body. إذا اشتكى منه عظم, if one part of this body suffers from pain, then the entire body suffers from pain. And so our brothers and family and friends in Palestine and everywhere else where they are finding oppression, they are suffering, and likewise do we suffer. Not to make this introduction very long, because our sister has another program to go onto, but I would like to introduce yourselves to Tahira Abrams, who is now trending currently on social media for her video that went viral, where she was approached by a pro-Israeli person. She hung the Palestinian flag in Sea Point, and she was approached by this lady, and from there everything just went viral, and she became famous for it. but also she's been doing some work in terms of activism in various other issues. And so, inshallah, we'd like to welcome to the platform Sister Tahira Abrams. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
How's it to be famous?
It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. I'm not even famous. It's just weird for people to know who I am. Like I was at an appointment earlier, and I was talking to the girl, and this random person just walked past, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, is that Tyra?" I recognize her voice. It's a little bit embarrassing, to be honest.
I don't think you should be embarrassed. It's something that you did for the right cause. While you might have seen it at that time as something as insignificant, you now see the reality thereof.
Yeah.
You see other people also coming onto the platforms and start speaking out. Other people also start, it encourages people to take on this fight when they and this is why I decided to host you on this platform this evening, is because sometimes we look up to these big organizations and these big platforms, and we think we will never be able to be a part of them because they are, they've been doing this for years, and they so much into it. Perhaps you have to wear multiple hats in order to be a part of that movement. But now they see an ordinary girl, someone just like them, that takes the stance, and she brings across a message. um Whilst some people are questioning your we'll get into that, but they see some sort of motivation, they see some sort of voice from a youngster, someone who they are able to relate to. So that's what I would like to touch on here this evening. For the ordinary layperson out there who hasn't been much involved in pure activism in terms of the Palestinian scenario or any other activism, um, how did this all start out for you?
Um, I think that the reason that that video went so viral was because that moment was something that so many people in Cape Town had experienced, but it was just the first time that it was on video. And so it went viral because everybody could kind of relate to it. There were so many comments under that video saying, I experienced the same thing. I work in Sea Point. I live in Sea Point. There's something that happens all the time. There were so many people that spoke about it. Um, and because it went that viral, I've been speaking out for a number of movements over the years, Palestine being the cause that's closest to my heart for a number of reasons. But when I had the opportunity and I gained this this opportunity, I just tried to push the momentum as far as I could.
And talking about the momentum, obviously, like you said, it's been happening for years, and it's no new thing to us.
Mm,
It's no new thing to the world. But I think, obviously, now because we've become more tech savvy, people realized what the impact of media was able to do for them. I mean, in all honesty, even the message out of Sheikh Jarrah at this moment is that Israel has lost the fight when it comes to media, because so many people has been sharing the messages, so many people have been actively busy, just sharing whatever they could that is currently happening on the grounds in Palestine, whether it be in Masjid al-Aqsa, whether it be in Sheikh Jarrah or the Gaza area. Everyone has just been uh, it was just a crazy house. I think I've never seen so many people involved in the issue, taking up that stance, uh, from ordinary places. I mean, just recently we've seen even on Facebook people, the likes of, I don't want to mention his name, but the guy that works for Discovery, even that issue. So these are individuals that has been it's a norm in society for them to have probably shared those views, on a mutual platform. But now it has become so interesting that when someone mentions something pro-Israeli, comments or anything has been said, that there are people actually taking a stance. And I'm very proud as a Cape Townian for that, and I'm very proud as a South African for that, because in reality, we as South Africans, we know apartheid, we know oppression, and we come from that. So our response to that should be even more stern than anyone else, because we know the reality thereof. So Tahira, just to come back to your activism and the cause for Palestine, could you just for a moment explain what happened in the video and what all occurred?
So me and a friend had gone around Cape Town putting up flags and so on. We have like a little group that we sort of mobilize with. We put up flags like on the M5, and on that morning we had gone to the waterfront and we put up flags and like signs. And we put it on those statues of like Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu outside that market. And within 5 minutes, we were getting dirty looks, and people were scoffing and like having these heated discussions a little way from us. And this man like walked past and he said it was a disgrace. And I told him it's what Nelson Mandela said. Like he was just holding a sign that it was his own quote. Um, but 5 minutes after that, the security came and told us to take it down. After that, we went to Sea Point and we joined the march for a little bit. We broke away and then we went to the sunglasses to put the flags on. Those sunglasses, the name of the statue is Perceiving Freedom. And we thought, like, what better way to to make there's no better symbology than to put Palestinian flags on those sunglasses. And this woman approached us, this white woman approached us, and she asked me, "Are you a terrorist?" And I said, "No. Why would I? Why would you think I was a terrorist?" And she said, "Because this is what terrorists do." And then we got into a very heated discussion about that. And my friend took the video, and then I posted it online. And yeah,
And it kicked off from there.
pretty much.
Basically. So this obviously led to a number of things. This led to more posts being made. This led to more issues being raised. And then coming obviously to tomorrow's happening, that I think that was the main thing behind it.
Mm.
Tell us how that kicked off in particular.
So I had
So this obviously led to a number of things. This led to more posts being made. This Okay, you can go. I'll mute my mic on my side.
okay. Wait, what is the question? About the picnic. How did this?
About the picnic, yes.
Okay. So yeah, after that had happened, I didn't expect the video to go as viral as it did. But it blew up. Prior to all of this, I'd been speaking about Palestine on my Instagram story almost every day. I'd been making posts about it, but I had a very small following. And after that, I gained a much bigger platform, and I thought I need to do something immediately. And the first thing that came to mind was to go back to Sea Point, where we had experienced that hatred and racism and Islamophobia, and to go back there. We've had protests all over Cape Town for Palestine before, and never at any of those protests have I ever experienced that kind of Islamophobia or like any of that. People were thrown with eggs, people were screamed at from balconies. Um, this woman told me that there was a white woman that walked behind her and kept telling her to go back to where she came from, even though she's from Craven B. But it was disgusting, and that's why we're going back. We're going back because they chucked us out of there. They didn't want us there, and we're better to make our message even clearer than a place where they don't want us.
So a lot of people had obviously the I think a lot of people jumped onto conclusions for obviously perhaps being misunderstood in your messaging. Occupy and what was the other thing?
Disrupt.
Occupy, occupy and disrupt. Why occupy and disrupt?
Occupy, as in we are going to occupy the space, we are going to take up space. Um, I don't know why those words are so scary to people, but it shouldn't be scary to you if you aren't a racist or if you aren't Islamophobic or if you don't inherently just hate people. There's nothing scary about what we're doing. We're having a picnic. But the reason that I use those terms occupy and disrupt is because our very existence as brown people in a tourist wealthy area, it's disruptive in itself, which is what we saw on Sunday. It's fully within our right to protest. It's within our right to protest wherever we want, um, and we experience this kind of hatred. So it's clear that just our presence is enough to upset certain people. And so
Yeah, I
we're going to continue to occupy, and we're going to continue to disrupt.
Yeah, I actually just want to mention the comment that you pinned to the top of your post. And I actually, so myself, I worked with Jess for a while,
Oh,
um,
okay.
the boss lady. So I have some sort of relationship with her. And I requested that obviously she join on this live this evening, but she was unfortunately not able to. So I'm going to share her quote nonetheless. So she says that Sea Point is my hood, is the hood I grew up in as a Jew, is the hood I lived in as a new Muslim, and is the hood I moved from because of its intolerance. Sea Point is not only racist, classist, and Islamophobic, but it houses violence too. This is the hood where a resident had his car set alight for feeding the homeless. My own mother, a property and business owner in Sea Point, was threatened with boycotts for insisting on feeding the homeless. The Palestinian cause is not a Muslim or a black cause, and not all Jews are Zionists, nor are all Zionist Jews. But by nature, the residents of Sea Point lack tolerance and empathy. My hope is that a peaceful picnic in solidarity with Palestine by a mix of races and faith may aid in a little bit of both of these people. I think she basically just cleared the air in terms of
Yeah.
why it's important for us to actually be in Sea Point.
Yeah.
Why it's important that we perhaps not even. I, I think we could use the terms that you use in occupy and disrupt, but in the same breath, we would also like to educate people. We would also like to educate people and tell people that our hatred or our activism and our chants are not against Judaism. Our
Yeah.
chants and our activism is not against Jewish people. Unfortunately, if you are a Jew and you are pro-Zionist, then that's a different issue. But the issue is Zionism. The issue is racism,
100%.
and that's what we're on about. So if we could use these places and initiatives in educating people that we are not there to oust the Jews, we are there to oust the Zionists. We are there to
Mm-hmm.
make a voice and uh, particularly the point of going back to where we initially came from. I mean, the Sea
Yeah.
Point, all of those areas is exactly what is currently going to happen in Sheikh Jarrah.
Yeah.
That very instance that's happening in Sheikh Jarrah is what happened to our forefathers and our grandmothers in the Sea Point area, in the
Yep.
District 6 area. So I think it's even more important and a brilliant stance by yourself for taking it back to Sea Point, um,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can have our voices heard in the very towns and in the very roads that the voices of our forefathers were heard. So I would like to congratulate you on that, and I hope that obviously this kicks off to many more openings for us as
I
South
hope
Africans.
so.
I
I
I,
hope
I
so.
think I think that this discussion is extremely important to be continued, because why? The media has shifted now completely. There's a
Yeah.
ceasefire, but there hasn't been a seize on oppression. There hasn't been a seize on ethnic cleansing. There hasn't been a seize on what is currently happening in Sheikh Jarrah. There hasn't been a seize on the oppression that takes place within the compounds of Masjid al-Aqsa. There are still day in, day out arresting innocent Palestinians and taking them to account for whatever they are claiming they are doing. So the whole ceasefire on weaponry, that has stopped for a while, but that has just it's the same in the past. I mean, we've been uh, watching these things unfold for the past 70 odd years. I mean, 1948 it started. We are currently in 2022, and yet the same message. So I think um, we need to make it clear that this what we say in Arabic is the himma, this drive that we got going, that has actually really given hope to the Palestinian cause. And you're going to be speaking soon to Abdullah Griffith, um, and he will be able to tell you how much hope this type of activism has given the people of Palestine. Uh, I'm just going to recall one of the late messages that Maulana Ihsan rahimahullah left behind with us, and he said, you will find that when the ceasefire happens, when the media has completely changed their focus from the Palestinian issue, and they have shifted it to other issues so that Israel may continue whatever they are doing, then you'll find that even the Muslims have begun, they've begun changing their activism. So they no longer the focus on Palestine. So what do you think, what are the steps that we are able to take in order to keep this thing as on an ongoing basis?
First of all, I think it's important to no longer divert the conversation to defending your position and saying that it's not anti-Semitic, because as you've said, we have bigger things to deal with. We have more important cause to deal with, and we know that what we're saying is not anti-Semitic, but this is something that keeps being brought up, and then every time we have to go back and explain why what we said wasn't anti-Semitic and explain. I think it's a waste of time, especially when we know exactly what we're talking about. I 100% understand that Jewish people have an innate fear and paranoia because of what they've experienced and because of the persecution that they continue to experience. But we need to distance ourselves from that narrative and from all of that. This is about the Israeli government and the actions against the Palestinian people. This is about a political ideology. It may have connections with Judaism, but it's not about Judaism. I think going forward, the momentum that we need to just keep pushing is, I think the reason, like I said initially, the reason that people were so connected to the video, and maybe because why it went viral, was because um, everyone could relate to it. And I expect that going forward, on Saturday, tomorrow, when everyone comes to the picnic, that there will most likely be another reaction. But the way that we allow these movements to go forward is that we get people personally invested in something. The fact that they can say, yeah, I've also experienced that. This is important to me, not because it's happening in the Middle East, but because their oppression is actually exactly the same as what I'm experiencing here. What's happening in Palestine is all the way on the other side of the world, and yet we were thrown with eggs in Cape Town for it. So I think once people have that personal connection to the cause, it's easier for them to put their time on the line, their bodies on the line, their money on the line for a cause going forward. Obviously, with this momentum, the plan is to push boycotts, to push sanctions. But as you mentioned, I'm not an organization or body. I'm just one person, but I will 100% use this opportunity as best as I can, and I will push it as far as I can go.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important that we know that you're not in need of an organization to do the work of many of the individuals. I mean, every organization started out with individuals with like-minded people with that momentum keeping them going, and eventually they ended up with organizations taking them forward. But this cause and this I just feel that every individual, they shouldn't feel the need to be a part of an organization to bring about change.
Definitely.
That change what starts with us as individuals. What we teach our children in our homes, what we teach our family members, what we teach our neighbors, it can start there. And I think that is really an important message to take home from here, is that tomorrow when we're out at the picnic, 10 o'clock people, when we're out at the picnic, let's try and bring along messages that we are able to share with the broader community, not messages of hate, messages that we are able to educate the people what is currently happening in Palestine. Yes, it's a good thing to hold a placard of free Palestine and free Gaza, but let's also bring messages like we do not hate Jews, we do not hate anybody for that matter, but we stand against oppression, we stand against Zionism, we stand against apartheid. That's the messages that we really want to get across. Because if you're going to join us in that fight, then you're going to be with us with 100%, no matter your religion, no matter your race, no matter your color, whatever you come with, that's just who we're going to accept. And I see a comment from one of the sisters. Are you aware of the statement issued by the South African Jewish Board of Deputies?
Yeah, I am aware. I'm
And
aware.
yeah,
And I'm unbothered. There's no reason, as I've said multiple times, there's no reason for anybody to be worried about people having a picnic. We have cake and cupcakes and balloons and bubbles. It's not that scary. If you are intimidated by brown people in a park, um, I don't know what advice to give you there. Yeah.
it is very laughable to actually see such a comment, and taken, like you said, you're not a organization, you are merely an individual that brought this about. And look how
Yeah.
strong they come out with it, with such a
Yeah.
message to an
My
individual.
favorite line was, we're in contact with the city of Cape Town to ensure the protection of our community. And it was like, we're just having a picnic. You don't need to call the city of Cape Town. But it just shows it sharpens the contradictions of what their movement is and what our movement is. We
Yeah,
are a small amount of people trying to do something. They have all of these resources and they come out strong every single time someone just does a small little thing. And if the city of Cape Town does show up, if the police do show up, um, it will be better for proving the point that we're trying to make.
that's correct. Yeah, she's saying that it is an attempt by the board to incite and discredit the attempt by the protesters. I don't think there's any attempts. We mainly going to gather in order to get the message across. They've already brought the message and made it clear as to what they want us to be doing, because
Mm.
they see us as terrorists. They see us as people trying to incite them. Whereas, like you mentioned, it's merely just a picnic. It's merely just a occasion where we not going to enjoy ourselves, but mainly silent protest.
And that's why
With
I use the words occupy and disrupt, because a simple thing like a picnic is somehow disruptive to their lives. Just a fair amount of people of color in a park that have the same belief when it comes to a certain social issue that is now disruptive to their lives. We're going to have a picnic. There's no reason to leave Sea Point or to stay indoors, as some of these letters and Facebook groups have put out. They've said, you guys have behaved so well the last time. Don't worry about it. They're just back so that they can push us a little bit more. You didn't behave well last time. People were swearing at protesters from balconies. Um, and there's no reason to stay indoors and fear people that are having a picnic. It's just a little bit ridiculous, which is why I will continue to use the terms occupy and disrupt, because, like I
yeah.
say, our very existence is somehow occupying space that they don't want us to occupy and disrupting their lives.
Funny enough, this draws a very similar picture to what's actually happening in Sheikh Jarrah. I don't know if you are following Muna Al Qurt. So she's posting daily how the youth are sitting on the streets, merely just having they sitting around a bonfire, and their mere existence on the streets of Sheikh Jarrah is already causing tension. You'll see the Israeli army, standing on the opposite side by the shop where they're always standing, watching and just trying to intimidate. And this is the exact same thing that is happening here on the Cape Town shores. So what different type of oppression are we facing? We still find ourselves in that very same space that our grandparents found themselves in. and
Yeah.
and 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 now we are able to see that we do not just have work to do on a global scale, but we have work to do here on the grounds in Cape Town as well. And I think one of the brilliant things that was raised with this picnic, and it highlighted this issue, that there is a problem in Cape Town, and
100%.
we need to deal with it. And the way we're going to deal with it is perhaps not, we're not inciting violence, we're not telling people that we hate them, but we're going to educate you as to what the reality is on the grounds. We are going to educate you as to, and we're going to use this strongly, that, our message is a message of peace. That's all we want. A liberated Palestine is all we want, not a two-state solution. We do not want just ceasefire and cease on everything else, but we want people to be taken we want people to take to be taken to account for what they've done. I mean, it's not going to. Uh, that's why we still face what we're facing in today in Cape Town, where we've just moved on from apartheid, and we haven't taken really the people responsible for what they've done during the days of apartheid. And now we're sitting with that repercussion of the same individuals that enforced apartheid on our people are the same individuals that fearing us tomorrow at the picnic and calling on the city to protect them from us. How it's funny, but
It's not really that funny.
it's I'm
If you think about it, it's not really
yeah.
that funny. It's predictable behavior. I'm not surprised by it at all. It's funny to me because when I was at university and we were protesting for fees must fall and for roads must fall, um, it was a lot more aggressive. I mean, we were literally tear gassed and the rubber bullets fired almost every day, and that's just because we wanted a statue removed,
Yeah.
a statue. And it's so absurd that people continue to be so attached to inanimate objects. Because, likewise, on Sunday, I put a flag on a pair of sunglasses, and people told me that it was vandalism, um, that I was disrupting everybody's walks on the promenade with my flags. It was just, it was a whole bunch of nonsense, but it was stuff that we've heard multiple times before. Their lives cannot be disrupted. There can't be any evidence that we exist within their lives. We need to just wipe it away.
Yeah. So my last question to you would be, and this is a question that was posed to one of your videos, and this is what you're doing currently, is it counterproductive
Counterproductive to what?
to what the messages that they are putting out there as the Jews or the people of Sea Point?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Is it
So
counterproductive? Mm?
yeah,
Go ahead.
the picnic tomorrow, is it counterproductive to the stance that they've taken in the Sea Point area?
Their stance has been racism.
Yeah.
So in a sense, yes, our stance is counterproductive because we aren't being racist back. We're just trying to have a picnic and hang out with people and have a good time while standing in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Um, if the question is it counterproductive to the Palestinian movement, which is a question I've seen quite often. People have said you aren't doing enough or you aren't doing it correctly. Um, to that, I would say that it's only been a week since I've had this responsibility, and I will do as best as I can going forward to add a whole bunch of important things into this. I'm hesitant to call it a movement. I'm hesitant to call myself anything at this point because I'm literally just a girl got called a terrorist, and
Yeah.
that's about it. Um, the picnic, I have been told that it may be reactionary, but the point is 100% for it to be reactionary. We experience hatred, and we're coming out to show that we aren't going to be pushed down from it. Whether it's effective in removing the Israeli ambassador, or if it's effective on boycotting and sanctioning Israel, it definitely isn't. But what these movements need sometimes is momentum. They need a group of people behind it that will put their bodies and time on the line for it. We saw it with BDS a few years ago. It was very difficult to ask people to stop buying from Woolworths.
Yeah.
But when you make it something personal, when you say to them, can you see how they've reacted to you? Can you see how they don't want you to do this? It's a little bit more of encouragement. Um, and we hope that going forward we can push things like boycotting. We know that Cape Union Mart has massive ties to Israel, and those are luxury products. Those are not things that you're buying every day, so it should be an easy thing to boycott. We know
Yeah.
that Clover has ties to Israel as well, and we can boycott those things. There are multiple alternatives, and maybe we can get the vegans on board to also explain to us why you shouldn't be drinking cow's milk. But yeah, going forward, I plan to create a very inclusive movement. Um, as you've said before, there's a lot of connection between the Palestinian movement and what's happening in South Africa. Not what has happened, but what is happening. We know that
Yeah.
they are trying to take over the Bull Cup, that they are trying to push people out of Bull Cup, and we need to be there to stop that as well. We need to try to fight wherever we can. When it comes to keeping the same energy for every movement, I feel like sometimes that's just an impossible ask because as a person you just don't have the capacity to have energy for every single
100%.
movement. But
100%.
we will try. And yeah, I'm hoping that this momentum really kicks off. I'm hoping that after tomorrow it gives us another surge that can give us another weekend of activism and another weekend and another weekend. And I'm hoping all of those weekends together can do something that is effective.
Yeah, I think that one of the most important things that we obviously want to take home tomorrow is that we build a network of people where we are able to continue this momentum and where we are able to bring this energy to every community out there. So initially it will start off in Sea Point, but we want to occupy and disrupt every other uh, community out there in the Cape Town area so that our voices could be heard on every corner until we feel satisfied with what is happening, not just within our community, but on a global scale as well. And so once again, well done for what you've started. Well done for the stances that you've taken. Once again, they say that you can't please everyone at the end of the day, but we start off with a little bit that we can do, and we may be making mistakes in them. And obviously, because we are in the public eye, it's going to cause people to look at us with, it's easy for 1,000 eyes to look at one person and call them out for something. But they also need to realize that we all in this to just be doing good.
100.
And we are human beings. Allah has created us weak, so that's something that we just got to keep realizing. So shukran once again for joining this evening. If you could just share the details for tomorrow's program, and then your
Sure.
scheduled live as well.
So it's going to be Saturday, tomorrow at 10 a.m. at Sea Point. It's going to be at the Sunglasses statue. You can't miss us. We'll have a bunch of flags and balloons. We have cake. Remember to wear your masks and to social distance. With the third wave eating, it's really important that we don't create a super spreader event or anything like that. So it's important that we do have separate picnics. Yeah. And then I'm going live straight after this with Abdullah, and because he's in Cheshire and I'll be talking to him.
Okay, so that will be live on your Instagram account.
Yeah, on my
Okay.
Instagram account.
All of the best, and we hope to see you tomorrow, inshallah. Shukran so much for
Shukran.
joining us this evening.
One. Salam.
Wa alaikum salam. We say Jazakallah khairan for Tahira for that segment with her. I think it's really interesting and great to see that there are youngsters that is stepping up to the platform in trying to bring about change, not just local change, but they're trying to bring change on a global level. And inshallah, by starting off with local movements and by with carrying this momentum and this energy on a local platform, initially it will achieve the goal that we ultimately all wish for, and that is a free and a liberated Palestine, a free and a liberated Yemen, a free and a liberated China and Burma and all of these places. And we so wish to leave you guys with this message that all of us, we can make a difference. Our sharing on social media, our sharing on our local networks, our word of mouth, it does help. It does make a change. We've seen what it has done to the media. It has given them, it has broken that chain of having them being the upper hand. We got that upper hand right now. And so the moment we are going to lose that upper hand is the moment that this whole momentum and everything is just going to break down and is going to go back to what it once was. So they're not going to stop occupying the Palestinian people. They're not going to stop with the racist with their racism. They're not going to stop with the apartheid laws. None of these things are going to come to a stop until there is a global action that is going to be taking place. And Alhamdulillah, over the years, we've seen that various things have started contributing to the success of the Palestinians. That is the various establishments and organizations that has been established in purely supporting the Palestinian cause. Be it the Gift of the Givers movement, be it the BDS, be it Islamic Relief, but all of these contributions have surely been some sort of hope for the Palestinians. And like they are a source of hope for Palestinians, likewise is it me and you that's also able to be a source of hope by our du'as, by making salah on time. Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah does not change a condition of a people until and unless we change that condition within ourselves. That condition and that change starts with us as a community, with us firstly as individuals, and then with us as a household. And further on, we would be spreading that light into our communities. From that communities, we will be going onto a global platform, bi'idhnillah. And this is going to be the success, not just of the Palestinian people, but is going to also bring about the success within the ummah at large. So my plea to you, to all the viewers, is to please continue this activism that you have. Do not let it drop. Do not let your guard down. For if you watched the video earlier on and you were reading the meaning of the song that was playing, then you'd see that there is still hope. Madam tahqiq mubah. For as long as there is another day, there is hope. Please watch the videos that is coming out of Gaza. Watch the videos that is coming out of Sheikh Jarrah. It's going to hurt, but it needs to hurt in order to keep that flame going, in order to keep us always on top of things, so that we may ensure that the people that needed to be taken account of are going to be taken account to. So with these few words, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He accepts from us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He uses us as a means of or a source of guidance unto those who are misled. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants us the ability to educate people out there on the reality of things on the ground in Palestine, on the reality of things in the world from an Islamic perspective. And the most important thing is for us to spread the message of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And in that is success, in that is change, in that is mercy, in that is forgiveness, in that is it is just the most beloved thing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are able to invite people to that which is most pleasing unto Him. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He blesses you and your family. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He forgives us for our sins. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He elevates the status of the shuhada, that He grants them a high and lofty place in Jannah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He facilitates ease for those that are under the oppression. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants them ease. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants them a way out of it, so that we are able to be reunited with them and all our loved ones in paradise. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy on them. Ya Rabbi, have mercy on them. Have mercy on the Palestinians. Have mercy on everyone that is being oppressed in this world. whether it be in Palestine or whether it be in any other state in this world. Ya Allah, we ask you for your mercy, for there is no mercy like your mercy. Ya Allah, your mercy is something that is needed in this world. Your love is something that is needed to enter into the hearts of humankind. For should that love be entered into our hearts, then surely the hatred will be removed from it. Surely the hatred will be removed from the hearts of those that are causing such darkness in this world. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants us istiqamah, that He grants us that we be steadfast in this, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He allow us to continue this until a liberated Palestine bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa baraka wa sallam. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
هتعيش على حلمنا واللي نقوله اليوم محسوب على عمرنا أجيال ورا أجيال. هتعيش على حلمنا واللي نقوله اليوم محسوب على عمرنا. جاي ظلام الليل يبعدنا يوم إنما يقدر شعاع النور يوصل لأبعد سما. جاي ظلام الليل يبعدنا يوم إنما يقدر شعاع النور يوصل لأبعد سما. ده حلمنا طول عمرنا حضن ضمنا كلنا كلنا. ده حلمنا طول عمرنا حضن ضمنا كلنا كلنا.
الحلم ما هو مستحيل مدى التحقيق مباح، والليل لو صار طويل أكيد من بعد صباح. الحلم ما هو مستحيل مدى التحقيق مباح، والليل لو صار طويل أكيد من بعد صباح.
قول انت بكل ما فيك إن كان لك ولا عليك، حاول جرب وبتوصل شرف التجربة يكفيك. قول انت بكل ما فيك إن كان لك ولا عليك، حاول جرب وبتوصل شرف التجربة يكفيك.
جاي ظلام الليل يبعدنا يوم إنما يقدر شعاع النور يوصل لأبعد سما. جاي ظلام الليل يبعدنا يوم إنما يقدر شعاع النور يوصل لأبعد سما. ده حلمنا طول عمرنا
طول عمرنا كلنا كلنا.
ده حلمنا طول عمرنا حضن ضمنا كلنا.
عرض زمانك من تكون، ارضى طموحك اجتهد افتح لمرآتك عيون يبصر بها من جبعك، عرف زمانك من تكون، ارضى طموحك اجتهد، افتح لمرآتك عيون يبصر بها من جبعك.
اتحدى الكون واتمرد وتعلم تبقى جريء، مشوار الألف ميل خطوة تبدأ بطريق. اتحدى الكون واتمرد وتعلم تبقى جريء، مشوار الألف ميل خطوة تبدأ بطريق.
جاي ظلام الليل بعد عيون النمايل، هرجع عنه يوصل لأبعد زمان. جاي ظلام الليل بعد عيون النمايل، هرجع عنه يوصل لأبعد زمان. قلبنا طول عمرنا
محتاج العدل القوة علشان تقدر تحميه، والعمر بكلمة وشكوى حقي برجع رضيه. محتاج العدل القوة علشان تقدر تحميه، والعمر بكلمة وشكوى حقي برجع رضيه. والحب في النار وشرارة وعيون مليانة بشارة، في عزك وين العالم أطفال بإيدك شارة. الحب في النار وشارة وعيون مليانة بشارة، في عزك وين العالم أطفال بإيدك شارة.
جاي ظلام الليل بعد عيون النمايل، هرجع عنه يوصل لأبعد زمان. جاي ظلام الليل